Rain crawls down the window pane like crooked silver lines. The sky's been dirty wool for days over LA. Bellwether, California, someplace they call the Orchard. She said there have been disappearances, and my coffee's getting cold again.
Welcome to Bellwether, the Orchard. Denny had written about haunted houses, drowned towns, abandoned mines, possessed children, cursed photographs, and things that live beneath old bridges. He had never written about an orchard. That was why, when Reader's Digest contacted him with an assignment involving a small agricultural community in Northern California, his first reaction was to laugh. "An orchard," he said. The woman on the phone laughed politely. "Yes." "You want me to write a horror story about an orchard?" "Not exactly." She paused. "We want you to investigate it." Denny stopped smiling. Outside his apartment window, rain crawled down the glass in crooked silver lines. It was late November, and the sky over Los Angeles had been the color of dirty wool for 3 days. Investigate what? The town. What town? The Orchard. Denny waited. "That's the name of the town?" "No." The woman's voice had changed. It had become quieter. "The locals call the property the Orchard. Officially, it's part of a place called Bellwether." Denny opened the notebook beside his coffee. "Bellwether, California?" "Yes." He wrote it down. Then the woman said something that made him stop. "There have been disappearances." Denny looked up. "How many?" "We don't know." "You don't know?" "That's the problem." The line went silent for several seconds. Then, "People go there, and they don't come back." Denny leaned back in his chair. "Sounds like a police matter." "It is." "And the police haven't figured it out?" "Not completely." "What does Reader's Digest want me to do?" Another pause. "We've received letters." "From whom?" "Former residents, tourists, a few families." "What do they say?" The woman sighed. "They all describe the same thing." Denny waited. "An orchard full of dead trees." He frowned. "That doesn't sound particularly unusual." "They say the trees aren't dead." A cold sensation moved across Denny's shoulders. "What do they mean?" "They say the trees are fed." 3 days later, Denny was driving north. He had a rented Ford, 2 notebooks, a digital recorder, a camera, and enough coffee to keep him awake until Christmas. The assignment packet sat on the passenger seat. Bellwether, California. Population, 1,843. Founded, 1871. Primary industries, wine, apples, pears, cattle. Local attraction, Bellwether Vineyards. Denny had read the packet twice. There was nothing particularly strange about Bellwether. No unexplained this. No cult listed. No historical massacres. No missing person epidemic. Nothing. And that bothered him more than if there had been. The further north he drove, the emptier the roads became. Eventually, the freeway gave way to 2-lane highways. The landscape changed. Rolling hills. Oak trees. Dry grass. Vineyards stretched across the valleys in endless geometric rows. The sun was setting when Denny saw the first sign. "Welcome to Bellwether." Underneath it, someone had painted, "Grow with US." Denny slowed. He looked in the rearview mirror. There was nobody behind him. The road into town was lined with old trees. Some were bare. Others still carried leaves despite the season. The town itself looked almost unnaturally pleasant. White wooden houses, porches, flower boxes, a church steeple, a diner, a gas station, a general store, and everywhere vineyards. Denny checked his GPS. His hotel was supposed to be on Main Street. He found it easily. The Bellwether Inn. The building was 3 stories tall, built from dark timber, and pale stone. A brass bell hung above the entrance. It moved slightly in the wind. Denny parked. Before he could get out, the bell rang. Once. He looked up. There was no wind. The woman at the front desk smiled when Denny entered. She was perhaps 60. Gray hair. Round glasses. A blue cardigan. Mr. Randall? Denny stopped. Yes. Denny. Yes. She smiled. Welcome to Bellwether. You know who I am? Of course. Her smile remained. Everybody knows. Denny felt the first small warning somewhere in his stomach. I didn't announce my arrival. No. She reached beneath the counter. Your room is ready. She handed him a key. Room 17. I'm Margaret. Nice to meet you. She didn't move. Denny looked at the key, then at her. Anything I should know? About the hotel? About the town? Margaret smiled again. Stay on the roads after dark. Denny waited. Why? Wildlife. What kind? She leaned slightly closer. Hungry. That night, Denny couldn't sleep. The room smelled faintly of apples. Not fresh apples. Rotting apples. He lay awake, listening to the old building. Pipes creaked. Wood groaned. Something tapped periodically against his window. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Pause. At 2:17 a.m., Denny finally got up. He pulled the curtain aside. Nothing. The parking lot was empty. Beyond it, he could see rows of trees. The orchard. He hadn't realized it was that close. Moonlight illuminated hundreds of twisted branches. And for just a second, Denny thought he saw something hanging from one. He leaned closer. Nothing. Then another branch moved. Something pale swung beneath it. Denny's heart hammered. He opened the window. Cold air rushed inside. He grabbed his camera. When he looked again, the orchard was still. He zoomed in. Nothing. Just trees. He shut the window. Then something whispered behind him. Don't look at them. Denny spoon. Nobody was there. The next morning, he went to the diner. The sign read, Mabel's. There were only 6 customers. Every one of them looked at him when he entered. Denny sat at the counter. A waitress approached. What can I get you? Coffee. She poured it. Eggs? Sure. Bacon? Sure. She smiled. Good harvest this year. Denny looked at her. That's good. She walked away. An old man sitting 3 stools away laughed. Denny turned. The man was staring at him. First time. Yes. Thought so. What gave me away? Eyes. Denny smiled uneasily. What's that supposed to mean? The old man leaned closer. You're still using them. The waitress dropped a plate. Everyone went silent. Denny looked around. Nobody spoke. Then the old man laughed. Just kidding. He returned to his breakfast. Denny didn't laugh. His first interview was with the town historian. Her name was Evelyn Crane. She lived in a white house at the edge of town. Denny showed her his credentials. Reader's Digest. Yes. She looked at the letter. Then at him. Why are they interested in Bellwether? Disappearances. Evelyn's expression changed. I see. You've heard about them? Yes. How many? She looked toward the window. Enough. Denny opened his notebook. Can you tell me about the orchard? Evelyn didn't answer. Mrs. Crane? You shouldn't go there. Why? Because you're not from here. I've already noticed that. She looked directly into his eyes. No. Her voice dropped. You don't understand. She closed the curtains. My family came here in 1874. That's 3 years after the town was founded. Yes. Why did they come? To grow apples. Denny waited. And grapes. Wine. Yes. What's unusual about that? Evelyn sat down. The soil. What about it? It was impossible to grow anything here. Denny frowned. Yet they did. Not at first. She folded her hands. The first settlers planted hundreds of trees. All of them died. Every one. What happened? They found something under the ground. What? A shrine. Denny stopped writing. A Native American shrine? No. Evelyn's expression hardened. Something older. The shrine was discovered in 1876. According to Evelyn, workers digging a drainage trench found a stone staircase descending into the earth. At the bottom was a chamber. Inside stood a stone figure. No one knew what it represented. It was shaped vaguely like a man, but had antlers, long arms, a mouth carved impossibly wide, and dozens of small holes covering its torso, like eyes. Denny asked. No. Evelyn shook her head. Like mouths. Denny felt his skin crawl. What did they do with it? The settlers destroyed the shrine. Smart. No. Evelyn stared at him. They tried. What happened? The men who broke the statue disappeared. How many? 7. Denny wrote that down. And then the crops grew. He stopped. Without water? Without rain? Without fertilizer? No. Evelyn looked at him. They grew in blood. Denny spent the afternoon in the county records office. The clerk, a young man named Aaron, seemed eager to help. Denny requested missing person reports. Aaron disappeared into the back. 20 minutes later, he returned. Nothing. Nothing. No reports matching your request. Denny showed him names from the Reader's Digest packet. Thomas Bell, missing 2019. Aaron shook his head. Not here. Lisa Moreno, missing 2021. No. Daniel Foster, missing 2023. No. Denny stared at him. They're real people. I'm sure. So, where are their reports? Aaron smiled. I don't know. Denny looked around. The office was quiet. Too quiet. Then he noticed something. On the wall behind Aaron was a photograph. A group of townspeople standing beside an enormous oak tree. Denny stepped closer. When was this taken? Aaron's smile disappeared. Long time ago. Denny studied the photograph. There were perhaps 30 people. Men. Women. Children. And behind them, trees. He moved closer. There were shapes hanging from the branches. Dozens. Human shapes. Denny's stomach tightened. What's that? Aaron stepped in front of the photograph. Old decorations. They look like people. They aren't. Denny stared at him. Aaron's voice became very soft. Not anymore. That evening, Denny decided to leave. He packed his bags. Checked out. Returned the key. Margaret looked disappointed. Leaving already? I've got enough. You haven't visited the vineyard. Maybe another time. There won't be another time. Denny paused. What? Margaret smiled. I mean, this time of year is busy. He stepped outside. The sun was almost gone. He drove south. The road looked different. He checked the GPS. 20 miles to the highway. Then 40. Then 60. Denny frowned. He had been driving for nearly 2 hours. He passed the same sign. Welcome to Bellwether. He slammed on the brakes. He looked behind him. No town. He turned around. Drove north. 10 minutes later. Welcome to Bellwether. His hands tightened around the steering wheel. He turned around again. The road narrowed. Fog appeared, and then he saw someone walking beside the road. A woman. Barefoot. Denny slowed. She was crying. He rolled down the window. Are you okay? She looked at him. Please. What happened? Please take me with you. Denny unlocked the passenger door. She climbed inside. She was shaking. Where do you need to go? Anywhere. What's your name? She stared straight ahead. Claire. I'm Denny. I know. He looked at her. What? You're the writer. How do you know? She didn't answer. Denny started driving. Where's the highway? Claire pointed. Straight. They drove for 10 minutes. Then she said, Don't stop. I'm not stopping. No matter what you see. Denny glanced at her. What am I going to see? She began crying. The trees. They appeared through the fog. Rows and rows of trees. Denny recognized them. The orchard. But this time there were lights. Hundreds of lanterns hung between the branches. People moved among the trees. Men and women. Carrying baskets. Laughing. Working. It looked like a festival. Claire covered her face. Oh God. Denny slowed. What's happening? They're harvesting. What? She grabbed his arm. Don't stop. Something moved in the orchard. Denny saw a man dragging a body. He froze. The body was alive. Its hands were tied behind its back. A rope ran around its chest. The man dragged it toward a tree. Another person followed, carrying a bucket. Denny stopped breathing. Claire whispered. They found us. The road behind them was blocked. A truck. Then another. People stepped from the vehicles. Denny locked the doors. Stay down. Claire shook her head. They'll take you. Who? The town. Why? She looked at him. Because you came here. Denny stared. What does that mean? You're the harvest. The first rock struck the windshield. Claire screamed. Denny started the engine. He slammed the accelerator. The car lurched forward. People scattered. The windshield cracked. He drove through the orchard. Branches smashed against the car. Something struck the roof. Again. Again. Then a figure landed on the hood. A man. His mouth had been sewn shut. His eyes were gone. Denny screamed. The figure slowly raised one hand and pointed at the trees. Denny looked. People were tied everywhere. Men. Women. Children. Some were dead. Some were alive. And the trees grew around them. Roots had entered their bodies. Branches pushed through ribs. Hands protruded from trunks. Mouths opened in the bark. Denny slammed on the brakes. The car spun. Claire screamed. Then everything went black. When Denny woke, he was hanging upside down. His wrists were tied. His ankles were bound. The smell was overwhelming. It's soil. Blood. Blood. And apples. He opened his eyes. He was in the orchard. Claire was beside him. She was tied to a tree. Then he tried to move. Claire. Her eyes opened. Don't fight. Where are we? She looked at the tree. Inside. Denny stared. The bark was moving. Breathing. Slowly. What's happening? They're going to feed us to him. Who? She whispered. The old one. They came at midnight. The townspeople. Hundreds of them. They walked between the trees, carrying lanterns. No one spoke. Then the bells began. Denny counted. 1, 2, 3, 4. The ground trembled. The roots tightened around his legs. The tree beneath him began to split. Something pushed upward. At first, Denny thought it was a root. Then he realized it was a finger. Long. Black. Vet. Another emerged. Then another. The earth opened. A shape climbed from beneath the orchard. It was enormous. Antlers rose into the darkness. Its skin looked like tree bark stretched over muscle. Its arms were impossibly long. Its face had no nose, no eyes, only a mouth. A mouth that opened from ear to ear. The townspeople fell to their knees. Evelyn Crane stepped forward. She held a knife. "Father," she whispered. The creature looked at her, then at Denny. Denny heard a voice inside his head. Not words. Hunger. The thing opened its mouth. Every tree in the orchard opened its own. Hundreds of mouths. Thousands. The sound that followed was not a scream. It was laughter. Evelyn approached Denny. "You don't understand." Denny struggled against the ropes. "You murder people. We feed them. You kidnap travelers. We invite them." "What?" She smiled. "The road brings them." Denny remembered the signs. The hotel. The waitress. The old man. The woman on the road. Everything had been designed to lure people in. A town built around a trap. Why? Evelyn looked toward the creature. For the harvest. She pointed toward the vines. They grow because of him. She pointed toward the apple trees. The fruit. Then the vineyard. The grapes. Denny stared. And the wine. Evelyn smiled. "You drank it." Denny remembered the complimentary bottle in his hotel room. He remembered the taste. Sweet. Dark. Almost metallic. He began vomiting. Evelyn laughed. "You already gave something back." The creature moved closer. Denny felt heat against his skin. Its mouth opened. Inside were hundreds of human teeth. Some were children's. Some were old. Some still had pieces of flesh attached. Denny screamed. Then he heard something. A voice. From inside the tree. "Denny." He froze. The voice was familiar. It was his own. "Denny." The bark beside him split. A human face appeared. His face. Denny stared in horror. The face whispered. "Write about us." "What?" "Write it down." The creature screamed. The townspeople covered their ears. The face in the tree continued. "They don't know." Denny understood. The stories. The disappearances. The letters. The missing records. Everything disappeared because nobody told the story. The town erased people. Then it erased evidence. Then it erased memory. But writers were different. Writers preserved things. Word survived. Denny looked at the creature. And suddenly he wasn't afraid. He laughed. Evelyn stared at him. "What are you doing?" Denny smiled. "I'm writing." He didn't know how he escaped. Later, he would remember fire. He would remember Claire screaming. He would remember Evelyn running. He would remember the orchard burning. Most of all, he remembered the creature. It stood among the flames. Not dying. Watching. Denny crawled through the burning vines. He reached the road. Then everything went black. He woke in a hospital 3 days later. Police questioned him. Then federal agents. Then doctors. Everyone wanted to know what happened. Denny told them. They didn't believe him. They found the burned remains of the orchard. Nothing else. No bodies. No Esrine. No creature. No townspeople. Bellwether had been abandoned. Every house was empty. Every official record showed the population had been 0 for 11 years. The hotel didn't exist. Neither did Mabel's Diner. Neither did Evelyn Crane. Neither did Claire. Denny showed them photographs. Every photograph was blank, except one. A single image. taken the night of the fire. It showed Denny standing at the edge of the orchard. Behind him were hundreds of trees, and hanging from every branch were people. Months later, Denny finished his article. Reader's Digest rejected it. They said it was too unbelievable. He submitted it again. Rejected. Again. Rejected. Eventually, Denny stopped trying. Instead, he turned it into a short story. He changed the names, changed the town, changed the location. He called it The Orchard. The story was published in a small horror magazine. It became popular. Readers wrote letters. Some said it frightened them. Some said they couldn't sleep. One woman said she had dreamed about the trees. Denny received thousands of messages. Then one arrived without a return address. Inside was a photograph. It showed an orchard, rows of trees, fog, a dirt road, and a small wooden sign. Welcome to Bellwether. On the back, someone had written, "Thank you for remembering US." Denny burned the photograph. He burned the envelope. He burned the original manuscript. Then he moved. 3 times. He never drove north again. Years passed. He almost convinced himself it had been a hallucination, until one autumn morning he received a package. No return address. Inside was a bottle of wine. The label read, Bellwether Vineyards. Vintage. 2026. Denny stared at it for a long time. There was a note beneath the bottle. Only 6 words. The harvest was better this year. Denny dropped the note. Behind him, something tapped against the window. 3 times. Pause. 3 times. Pause. He slowly turned. Outside, in his backyard, stood a tree. It had not been there the night before. Its branches were bare, except for one piece of fruit, a red apple. Denny approached the glass. The apple moved. Not from the wind. It turned slowly toward him, and beneath its skin, something pushed outward. A fingertip. Then another. Then a mouth. Denny stumbled backward. The mouth opened and whispered his name. Denny. He ran. But the house was already filled with the smell of rotting apples. And somewhere beneath the floorboards, something enormous began to breathe. The following morning, Denny's neighbor called the police. He said there was something strange in Denny's backyard. A tree, covered in fruit. When officers arrived, they found the house empty. Denny was gone. There was no sign of a struggle, no blood, no broken doors, no footprints, only a notebook sitting open on the kitchen table. The final page contained a single sentence, written in Denny's handwriting. I finally understand what the orchard wanted. Beneath it, another sentence had been written, but it wasn't in Denny's handwriting. It doesn't want blood. And beneath that, it wants stories. The police searched the property. They found no tree, no wine, no notebook, nothing. 3 weeks later, a new story appeared online. It was posted anonymously. The title was The Orchard. The story described a writer named Denny who was hired by Reader's Digest to investigate a mysterious town in California. It described the disappearances, the trees, the sacrifices, the ancient god, the wine, the fertilizer, and the harvest. Thousands of people read it, then hundreds of thousands, then millions. Comments appeared beneath it. People said the story felt strangely real. Some claimed to have visited Bellwether. Others said they had seen the orchard. A few said they had received bottles of wine. And then someone posted a photograph of Denny, standing beneath a tree. His wrists were tied behind his back, roots wrapped around his legs. His mouth was open, but he wasn't screaming. He was smiling. Behind him stood the townspeople. Behind them stood the orchard, and behind the orchard, something enormous watched through the branches. The photograph was taken yesterday. The comments disappeared shortly afterward. The website went offline. The story vanished. But copies remained. They always do. Because that's the problem with stories. Once someone tells them, they don't belong to the writer anymore. They belong to whoever reads them. And somewhere in Northern California, beyond the vineyards and the empty roads, there's a town that does not appear on any map. A town with a hotel that has no guests. A diner that has no customers. A vineyard that produces wine from impossible soil. And an orchard that grows fruit no one should ever eat. The locals still call it Bellwether, but they have another name for it. The name they whisper when the harvest moon rises. The name they use when the trees begin to breathe. The orchard. And every year, when the fruit turns red, the roads become strangely busy. Cars appear from nowhere. Travelers take wrong turns. GPS systems fail. Strangers see lights between the trees. And somewhere along the highway, a friendly old sign waits patiently beneath the branches. Welcome to Bellwether. Underneath it, in freshly painted letters, stay for the harvest.
Dappled light is soft and hazy. The air here feels so quiet lately. Underneath these heavy boughs, letting go of former vows. Deep roots reach into the ground, a gentle, almost silent sound. Waiting for the coming harvest, finding peace in what you started. Welcome to the orchard. The orchard.